blueprints to booming businesses, from groundbreaking to grand openings, this is Beyond the Blueprint. Join host Brad Howard as he takes you behind the scenes of growth and development in Mooresville, Lake Norman, and beyond. We're talking with the decision makers, the planners, the visionaries shaping our communities, giving exclusive insight into what happens before, during, and after projects that define our region. The future is being built right now. Let's go beyond the blueprint.
Good Friday afternoon. This is Beyond the Blueprint, and I'm your host, Brad Howard. Thank you to those listening on the radio, tuning in on 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM, on social media, and on the WSIC News app. Beyond the Blueprint is where real estate, economic development, and community leadership all intersect right here in the Lake Norman region. Each week, we take you behind the scenes on projects, policies, and people shaping the future of our community. In this show, we're not just talking about buildings and blueprints. We're going to dig into the decisions that drive growth, investment, and quality of life for families and businesses across the region. Whether you're a developer, an entrepreneur, a policymaker, or someone who just cares about where this region is heading, you're in the right place. So stay with us as we unpack the stories behind the headlines and hear directly from the leaders who are building what's next. Because this is Beyond the Blueprint on WSIC. And today we're going to talk about the future of Cornelius, traffic and infrastructure, and what leadership looks like in a fast-growing Lake Norman town. My guest is newly elected Cornelius Mayor Denis Bilodeau, a retired insurance executive, small business founder, and three-term town commissioner. So stay with us as we dig into how his policy decisions at Town Hall will be shaping your future. So Denis, great to have you. I know you have your own show and you're no stranger to the radio station. How are you doing? Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you, my friend.
Oh, so the first question we always people know who you are, and typically they know who everybody is. But if they're not in Cornelius, who is Denis Bilodeau? So to talk about your background, how you got here, and what inspired you to run for town board, get on the commission, and then mayor. What the future is now.
Sure. I appreciate that. So basically, moving to Cornelius roughly 25 years ago, I had a corporate job which took me out of town for most of the month, and I told my wife, once I'm finished with this, I'm going to know everything about Cornelius. So after spending 40 years in the insurance business and then also doing some local insurance agency work, mm-hmm. I decided that I am going to find out about what's going on in Cornelius, and actually started in the Parks Department. At the time, I was advised that you can't just jump into a commissioner chair. You got to do some penance. And actually, the park department was a good spot for me. So I mm-hmm. served a couple of terms as a park commissioner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And that had big interest. I love the outdoors. I love the parks that we have in our area. And I just jumped in at that, and then decided that the time was right after 2 terms to have a vote in what's also happening beyond park in our town of Cornelius.
And so let's jump into that. Now we know who you are. What is happening in Cornelius? I know you said you had an event earlier, and a lot of good questions and answers came out of that. So I know we have a script, but let's just get into the meat of what's really happening here.
Well, this is, I believe, day 59 of my term as a town mayor. And I think what's happening now is a campaign to go out and meet and greet and listen to the folks of Cornelius. We heard quite a bit. And when I say we, all the candidates, the commissioner candidates and the mayor candidates heard quite a bit from over 7,000 voters during the last election, which was a significant jump from where we've been. Mm-hmm. So we want to continue the conversation. When you're on the campaign trail, you make some comments and promises, and I think we're at a point now where we need to not only have ideas but take action. And in Cornelius right now, I've got a great town board, I've got an experienced staff, and we're ready to take action. That's basically where we are.
Okay, so I mean, most people are familiar with the road projects going on. Are there any, well, I mean, I guess you can't miss the interstate with the traffic circles, right? What do people need to, what projects are coming up that people need to be aware of in Cornelius?
Yeah. And so, what most folks in Cornelius told us during the campaign and continuing through this year is they want infrastructure and roads before any more projects come out of the ground. And there are some folks that are in the middle and will tolerate some of the conversation about economic development. There are others that don't want a 2x4 to even hit the ground until we do something with traffic, and others that are aggressive. But we have some major DOT projects that will come to completion during 2026. But we also have 18 active development projects in our town. So we really need to look at any future development or any new projects and with an eye for what does the town need, what do the citizens want, and how will it complement what we already have coming out of the ground.
So I guess projects that are visible are the traffic circles at the interstate. Now, how is that going to work? Are both sides getting widened, or are you adding traffic circles to both sides, or just the one side?
Yeah, there is a need, Brad, to make some changes on both sides. And the interesting, I've heard some statistics about the bridge at exit 28 was constructed to handle 20,000 cars a day, and today 28,000 cars go across that bridge. And on I-77, there's roughly 75,000 cars. So we've got a significant percentage of traffic. And again, it's traffic that's passed through, a good portion of it, but no one cares about that. When you talk to anyone that's stuck on Catawba Avenue or caught in a jam, they don't care where the traffic's coming from. They just want you to move it. And that's what those two roundabouts, and there's a series of roundabouts at both sides. We call them the bookends of that bridge. And basically the idea is just so the queuing lanes are longer, you can have roundabouts at both ends of the bridge, and have larger queuing lanes so that you're not backing up traffic on the main thoroughfare.
Right. So it'll pull traffic off of Catawba onto the side roads of 21, and I don't know the name of the other Liverpool.
Right.
And pull them to the create more stacking distance.
Well, you take Torrance Chapel Road, if you're familiar with that road where the car dealerships were and are. As you come to that light, the left-hand turn is tough. So that's going away, where you will go further down to where, say, the post office is.
Right.
So now you're continuously moving and you're coming back around to make that turn.
Right. So it should alleviate a lot of that. What is the timing on completion of the different improvements on each side?
Well, the one on 21 is going to happen. It's under construction now and should happen soon. The other side of the bookends is going to be a little bit longer. They're now moving forward, but it's not as far along as 21.
Okay, good. And then and we're going to take a break here, but when we come back, we'll talk about some of the other improvements as we come down Catawba. And I know a lot of people have been waiting a lot of years, on some relief, and we'll get into that when we get back.
Absolutely.
So this is Brad Howard, Beyond the Blueprint, and we will be right back. And we're back on Beyond the Blueprint. This is Brad Howard, joined by Mayor Denis Bilodeau of Cornelius. And we are talking about all the things happening in Cornelius. You've noticed a lot of traffic construction work if you're on the east side of the interstate. I guess we actually should have started. We started at the interstate. We should have started with notable things because when you think of Cornelius, you can sort of start at 115 and work your way around. The big one is right between Davidson and Cornelius. You have a lot of roundabouts in Cornelius's future, or is that one technically Davidson? It's right on the line, so I'm not sure. Is it Cornelius or Davidson on the roundabout?
Well, I think it does cross over into Cornelius, the Potts roundabout.
Right.
Yeah, and that one's nearing completion. And
Right.
that was, very, very much needed in terms of people trying to get in and out of the YMCA and that side street. And we actually, to be honest with you, need to widen it even further as you move up that road, North Main Street, with the arrival of the train. So that's the biggest thing coming down the tracks, and no pun intended. The having the train station in that quadrant, in that area near our downtown, is going to require some really creative work with our road structure in that area.
So where is the location of the station that would be there?
Well, if and I'm sure if you go back in time, you remember Antiquity and the reason why.
Oh, that's right. It was a rail-oriented development, transit-oriented development.
Absolutely right. A number of apartments, affordable housing at the time, affordable. But the train station was going to be right there at the entryway to Antiquity. So now there's a couple of spots within that area, in that general area, that there will now be the train platform, a deck garage for parking.
Okay.
And I would imagine that it will continue to promote, economic development around that station.
Mm-hmm. So what is? I mean, I've heard a lot of stories. What is the proposed timing? I think CATS owns the right of way now, correct?
Yeah, there's a new authority.
CATS
is moving over to the MPTA, the Metropolitan, Transit Authority. We have a representative, as each town does, Davidson, Huntersville, Matthews, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're pushing for, to answer your question, the proposed time frame is 8 to 10 years.
Okay.
And I always, when I look at that and say, well, it's the government, 8 to 10 years, it's going to be 10 to 15 years.
We started in Mooresville talking about widening Highway 150 back in 1987.
Right.
So
right.
30 years, almost 30 years later, it's actually getting widened.
We have our West Catawba Avenue that has a similar track, but our representative is pushing very, very, and he has some support within that new MPTA to have a 5-year target. So we have the track, we have the path, we have a lot of things that have already been put in place. And if you look at other cities and how long it takes to get a new rail up and running, 8 to 10 years seems like an awful long time. But again, we'll see what happens. But we'd like to see that happen more quickly. And we'd also like to see the MPTA take a look at the surrounding roads in that area where the train station will be and help us. Not with our tax money that's coming to us via the sales tax, which
right, and that's something you should talk about. That's a lot of people don't understand that. They think that the money all went to the train, but it's actually you're going to be able to use it for matching funds for roads and to help speed things up on the STIP.
Correct. Well, not speed things up though. So that
wrong term. But
yeah. That and I was excited about it when I heard that. I said, well, maybe this is relief for West Catawba if we could apply that $5.76 million per year towards moving that up. But they're very cleverly put in that legislation that you cannot take a current DOT project and move it up. You can apply the money towards your match, which why we'd want to do that, I don't know. But you can also use that money for Greenway, PED improvement, and other roads. And we have plenty of other situations that we can take care of.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay, so as we're moving around, so we've talked about the traffic circle there, the train station that will be somewhere near Antiquity. Then I guess coming back around down Catawba, and I just want to tell you, Cornelius has done a fantastic job with the downtown. Because I remember as a kid, my grandpa worked at Reeves Brothers that was on the corner, which is Food Lion today.
Correct.
Which then was Fomex, but. It's a different town, but I remember when and I can't remember who was mayor at the time. Maybe was it Chuck or was it Gary or
Gary Knox?
Maybe or Chuck Travis or Gary Knox. But when you started that project, and then you had the sidewalks, but there was nothing. It was just the houses, and I was like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And here you fast forward, and you've created a vision of a downtown. You have an arts center, police station. You have everything that a town, could want. And then with these new projects that are being announced, you got the apartments there, then you have the Mills project. And then if you get, with the transit-oriented development there around Antiquity, it's a unique opportunity. You had a blank canvas and you're able to create the vision out of it.
Yeah, and actually, I'm happy you brought that up because our 2050 plan has been rolled out after 18 months of work with a consultant, and it was supposed to be, and it is a bold vision. And now when you land that in front of the folks that live within that bold vision, there's a significant amount of pushback. So we were to vote on that 2050 plan in late 2025. And as I moved into the mayor's chair, I said, let's push that off. And we're now going to vote in March of 2026, but not before we take the feedback that we received. It's one thing to hear about a vision, but then when you see it on paper and you see your house going away or your business going away, we got tremendous feedback. We got some feedback as the 18 months passed, but once they saw the vision, the folks, the homeowners and business owners came out and really gave us an earful, something to think about. And we're going to have more meetings and a larger meeting to have stakeholders come out and tell us what they think about the revisions.
And that's actually an interesting point. And, something, and as I've gotten older and have experienced development and a lot of growth and changes and learned, maybe early on had different ideas than I have now. And I look at things now, instead of looking at them 1 to 5 years, I look at things in 5, 10, 15. I look longer range when we make decisions. And, part of that is maybe having someone talk with the people and just to help, bring it back home and understand. I mean, I remember Burkdale, how we say, I know it's Huntersville, not Cornelius, but, when you would come up, when they built that interchange, because the interchange wasn't there, when they built the interchange,
25,
you would come up and it was cow pastures. I mean, before Burkdale was there, before anything was there, it was cow pasture. And, and I remember they built a gym across the street, which isn't there anymore. And I used to go to work out at that gym. I think it was in high school. And you would come out after a workout and you would smell manure.
Yeah.
You would smell cow manure. But the changes do come. It's just how you work with it and you embrace it. I mean, you want to make sure it's done responsibly and it's done, with the future in mind and not just quickly, just to turn a building. And
that's a great point because, we have 13 square miles in Cornelius. We're not growing any more land. We're bounded by the lake.
Right.
And what we've passed, the citizens have passed a $20 million park bond. So the primary focus of that park bond will be acquiring green space so that we don't build on every inch, but we go ahead and save some space for what we've heard from the citizens is field space. So
Okay.
it's just open space, and you can do various things on that. So, yeah, it's interesting to see the future coming before us.
Mm-hmm.
But back to our 2050 plan,
Right.
we had too much detail. I think to think about 30 years out and put down lines on a paper, we should have been at a higher altitude looking down saying, here's our vision as we move into 2050. Mm-hmm. We'll have a train, we'll have some other development, but the idea is to have an active downtown area, arts focused, still honoring the past, still having some of those homes that were built around the time of cotton farming.
Right. So okay, so now we're moving down. So we talked about the downtown area, and as you move out to the interstate, we've already talked about those traffic circles coming in, and you come across the diverging diamond, which took me forever, and I still think that folks traveling from out of town have never seen these before, because it's
Sure.
kind of like when they hit the traffic circle, at Langtree, they stop and they don't know what to do. They sort of look a little confused when they're sitting there. So we come through, you've got those two traffic circles. Is Catawba going to be widened at all between there and the peninsula, or is the widening from the peninsula down to Huntersville?
Yeah, well, so two things happening. And as you look at exit 28, it screams that we need exit 27. So that's a big push to have exit 27, and that would land somewhere on Westmoreland Road.
Okay, so is it going to be Westmoreland, or is there a flyover, or there's a new road that gets others too?
Yeah, so we still need the east-west connection if you
Right.
start to gum up Westmoreland Road with an intersection.
You
So
would really hamper east and west.
Bailey Road by the new hospital would be a flyover spot.
Is there a timeline on that?
Well, hopefully in my lifetime.
Okay.
But we do have a lot of help from Atrium. They're very interested in Exit 27.
Right.
And I think as that begins, we certainly, we're looking at least 10 years out.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. We're with Denis Bilodeau, and we're talking about our Mayor Denis Bilodeau, and we're talking about Cornelius and the future, and we're in the 2050 plan, and we'll be right back. And we're back. This is Beyond the Blueprint. I'm Brad Howard, and I'm joined by Denis Bilodeau, mayor of the town of Cornelius. And we are taking an adventure around town, talking about all the new roads that everyone's getting, and key projects, and infrastructure, and wherever opportunities arise. So we've taken our drive down. Well, we've started in Davidson at the new traffic circle, worked our way through the transit-oriented development around, and this train station around Antiquity, and now we're coming down Catawba. We've talked about the traffic circles, the diverging diamond, the other traffic circles, and now Catawba is going to get widened, right?
Yes, as you get past, once you get past Chaton Road, that's where the first phase of widening Catawba occurred. And then as you move forward, the idea there is, yes, we're going to widen over to 73 Sam Fur. We have a project, a development project now for a.
No, is that a local project, or is that a state project?
That's a state.
It's a state project.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's been held up in negotiating right of way for several years.
Oh gosh.
And I heard this morning that there's hope that they may have completed that, but the timing on it is still looking like 2030 before that will be done in three phases. Three pieces of that portion of West Catawba.
Well, 2030 is just around the corner.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Okay, so Catawba will, hopefully the widening will start by 2030 as long as the funding stays in place.
Yeah, and I guess the plan would be to let the projects in 27 sometime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant completed in 30.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. Which brings us down to Westmoreland. A lot of new development happening there. Are there any plans? You said Westmoreland would not be an interchange, but it'll be are you going to improve the east-west connection there, more lanes, or does it stay a two-lane road for the foreseeable future?
Well, again, to back up, the Westmoreland would be where the interchange 27 would be. It would land coming out somewhere there at that point.
Okay.
And then Bailey Road flyover is over by Atrium. They've already got it stubbed out to where it would come over and go over to Charktown area.
Okay.
That would not be an on-off to the interstate, but it would give you the east-west connectivity that you kind of lose when you have an interchange right there at Westmoreland.
Okay.
So you could avoid it by going a little further and go down to Bailey Road.
Okay.
Yeah. So you've got activity now at Alexander Farm. It looks a heck of a lot better. I don't know if you've been by there, but those big mounds of dirt with weeds all covered the top of it, they've been shaved down, and you can see they're getting ready to do some of the infrastructure, the roads, and at least flatten things out and make it look a little more attractive. But at the end of the day, we are anxious to do the widening of West Catawba from that point where it stopped at Chaton Road, and then go all the way over to 73.
Down to 73, and hopefully that your timing lines up on that with their timing on widening 73.
That's a hope, because you and I both agree, I believe, that people don't look at the town line and say, okay, Cornelius, you've done a great job, and now here we are at the Huntersville line.
Right. You're going to have to take it all the way.
It's got to match up, or you'll have a bigger bottleneck.
That's right. Okay, so that, since that's Huntersville, we'll come back to Westmoreland. We go across Westmoreland. 21. Any? I know that the hospital's atrium's down there. Any new projects or things the public may have been announced and people haven't heard about yet?
Well, we're anxious to widen 21 as well, but that's not other than what's happening there at the Catawba Avenue.
Okay.
I don't see anything on the list of projects that are in the near future, but again, things shift and change over time. That's a key piece of state highway that needs to be looked at.
Okay. And while we're on roads, we'll take it on around to 115 and that section, Bailey Road, 115. What is happening in that corridor? Because really, that's the last, the larger tracts of land that are left in Cornelius are out that way. Anything to date, or?
Well, that was my number one target as I was campaigning. I now live out that way, by the way. There was no coincidence that was my number one. But I had heard for many years, and I'd always been an advocate for the Bailey's Glen community, having 2 schools out there, now picking up 300 or so middle schoolers that coming over to Bailey Middle, and then Huff High, and then you have the park. So you have a lot of activity on Bailey Road. That road really needs to be looked at and is being looked at. We had purchased as a town 36 acres across from the Bailey Road Park.
Okay.
It was, and it still is, a land use plan is for, it could be a warehouse storage, could be small, commercial development. But I think, and I know for a fact that the neighbors, the folks that use that track up and down Bailey Road, absolutely want to see that remain green, park space, something maybe less tractor trailer oriented coming up that road. There's also the train. So when you talk about Bailey Road, that train will cross Bailey Road at 115, and you really don't have a lot of queuing space.
Right.
You've got one bus after another coming out of the schools. So that's something that's high on the list for our Transportation Advisory Board to look at. What can we do as a town? What can we afford to do to extend queuing lanes and prepare for a train that's going to come through there?
Okay, very interesting. So now we're gonna take a tack. We talked about the infrastructure around town, and a lot of our audience, that are listening, some are developers, builders, business owners. If they're looking to do business in Cornelius, what message do you send to them as how is entitlement, how is zoning, what does that process look like? I know every town is different, and we touched on this in the break. Timing to do a project. Some towns could take 6 months, some towns could take 2 years. Walk us through how everything is happening now.
Yeah, we've got a process that has worked well for us. We do a pre-development session with a cross slice of commissioners and other staff and some of our support boards that listen to the pitch up front. Here's what we'd like to develop. And I think right out of the box, that pre-development meeting is important to let that developer know that this is something that will move through quickly, or this is something that really might be a thumbs down for this particular time. But once you get through pre-development and then you do the the appropriate community meetings and go before the planning board, I would say it's not going to take a year. If it's
Okay.
a development that we know citizens are looking for, that it's unique, it's something that's needed. We always get a lot of laughs about, let's not have another supermarket unless it's Trader Joe's.
Right.
That's the trump card.
Everybody wants a Trader Joe's.
Yeah. So that's still a thing in Cornelius, because of course we lost the grocery store main tenant for Alexander Farm. I believe it was Lidl.
Okay.
Pulled out and said, no, we're not building there. So that would be an anchor tenant, and everybody's got their fingers crossed that could be a Trader Joe's, but nothing official on that. Don't want to get anybody excited about it.
Yeah.
But at least now the ground is moving and developers turning that project back on.
Yeah, no, that is a great location, and I know whatever happens there will be a tremendous asset for the community. One thing we haven't talked on, and we'll use this as the teaser as we go into the break, is Lake Norman. So Cornelius, I think, how many linear feet do you guys have?
70 miles of shoreline.
You have 70 miles of shoreline.
Yeah.
And it's all developed pretty much residentially, right?
Mostly residential. There's a few pieces, and
a few
even
restaurants.
we redid the land use plan with the idea that there might be more that could be converted or moved to commercial.
Okay. And I know we talked on it but the Marine Commission was dissolved. Was it last year? Yeah, my timing is off, and it's been reinstated. And with summer coming up, any anything going on with that people should be aware of, or
Well, yeah, water quality, more work to be done, especially around the algae and some of that. But other than that, I think the Marine Commission's still trying to get their feet underneath them.
okay, very good, very good. When we come back, we're going to talk about, we've talked about quality of life, we've talked about infrastructure. So now we're going to come back, we're just going to learn a little more about Denis and his vision for the future. So this is Brad Howard, Mayor Bilodeau. We'll be right back. You want to cover? We're back. This is Brad Howard, Beyond the Blueprint, joined by Mayor Denis Bilodeau with the town of Cornelius. We've been talking about infrastructure and how in the world he decided to get involved in politics and on the town board and now mayor. But now let's talk about, we've talked about quality of life. We've talked some about his time on the Parks Board. But let's talk about more looking forward, visionary into, you've been on the board for 3 terms. You're mayor now. When you look back, say we're 4 or 5 years from now, what key accomplishments do you want to say, I did that? I participated in making this happen.
Oh. And I've told our board that, picture the 60-minute time clock, that's ticking. Right. And I look at it as a 2-year sentence that I'm not, I'm not going to hold back and push for things that, that may be out 10 years. What I want to do is make sure that we get the traffic flowing. I think, some of that is fairly straightforward, and make sure that the projects that are coming out of the ground, because we have 2 or 3 this year, we have 2 or 3 in 2027, get those started in a way that that we learn from the lessons that we've encountered with the timing of the lights, the signals, little things that mean a lot that can really gum up the traffic, get those squared away.
Now, have you looked, and I know Mooresville, and I didn't know that they could do this, but as soon as DOT finishes 150, then the state is turning over the control of the traffic, the timing of the traffic lights locally. I don't know if you guys have looked into that.
We'd love it. We have a call center that's not real active. It's important and urgent to have a call center that dispatches our first responders. But again, I think a setup like you're describing, so that we can, with the cameras that we have or the knowledge that that a throughway is backing up, that we would have that easy button so that we could change the signals the way we need to. But so far, DOT would prefer to have that happen out of Albemarle, and we make calls, and we have a good relationship with that facility.
Okay, interesting. So other things, things that you want to look back on and say, we accomplished this. Anything in parks, rec? I mean, we touched on some things, and I can't remember if we touched on them in the break or on air.
Yeah,
we've just been talking through all this. So,
well, there's one important project that I've been very close to for the past 12 years, probably since I got into public life, and that is Smithville. And okay. Smithville is a community, African American, one of the oldest. Goes back to Mr. Smith, who deeded some land to folks that were working on those cotton mills, cotton farms, and it's been a struggle to try to get the revitalization moving forward for a number of reasons. But we're right now at a pivot point where we should become vertical. We should be coming out of the ground with the first several buildings, smaller houses, attainable, affordable, and doing the infrastructure work in conjunction with Charlotte Water, getting the roads, the sidewalks. It's a fairly small community, 90 or so plots. And I think having that as the entryway to downtown Cornelius, having something that we can be very proud of, that we helped this community get back on its feet. They're elderly. A lot of the folks that live there are elderly, but make it a mixed income development that we can be proud of. There's a Rosenwald School, if you're familiar with that.
What is that?
That is an early 1920 or 20-ish. One of the founders of Sears department store, had the idea that he could build these virtually, one-room schools for African Americans that had no other place to go, and that was right there in the middle of Smithville. There's one in Huntersville that's also being worked at. That could be a real nice community center for that revitalized Smithville area. There is a Smithville Coalition, which at one time I was a board member of and rolled off because of the conflict with the elected office.
Right.
But I still am very close to that project, and I'm excited that this year, after all these years, we've tracked down the heirs to the property. We're actually passing over as a town properties that we've taken and moving it over to the Smithville Coalition so they can build their new properties.
Interesting. I learned something new.
Oh,
I've been here forever, and I did not know that.
It's such a worthwhile project because there's history there.
Yeah.
There's Smithville Park where we have a jazz fest every year.
Mm-hmm.
So really a good project that finally I think is going to go vertical. I know is going to.
Oh, you know it's going to go vertical. Very good. So okay, so we've touched on a little bit of everything here, but looking forward. How accessible are you? And I mean, most people don't realize, people have lives, and this is not like Congress where a local elected office, you're not getting a big salary. If you're doing this, it's a passion because you believe in something and you want to see a vision through.
Yeah, that's a very good question because I've wanted to change how we communicate as a town and as a mayor. So I will have office hours. I have office hours 9 to 4 at Town Hall, and I have my little cubicle.
Every day 9 to 4?
Well, I'm going Monday through Wednesday to start, see how that goes.
Yeah.
But then I'm trying some new ideas. So every Monday morning at 7 a.m., I walk in Jeton Park, and I've invited any citizen that wants to walk a mile with the mayor to come on out. And,
that is a great idea.
Well, it gets the blood going, get your day and week started. And the weather's been not cooperating the last Monday, but we're out there in 45-degree weather right now, and it's invigorating, and it's a beautiful park. So we're doing that. Mm-hmm. We're also holding small meetings on specific topics within the community. Let's say it's Smithville. Let's say it's the Peninsula, or any community that has an issue. They may have a road outside of their community they want to talk to me about. We'll bring some staff folks out there and we'll meet on their terms at their time. In the past, we had a coffee chat on Monday morning at 8 o'clock at a restaurant.
Okay.
And what we found was the same very loyal dozen people would show up
every week.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
So-
we need to reach out, branch out.
Yeah. No, I had one of my favorite commissioners, but a friend of mine, he's passed away, but he used to do that. He used to have a coffee, and it's the same day every week. It was at the same restaurant. Or he started moving around. He had I'm going to be having lunch here. He'd put on Facebook everywhere he was going, and you just go meet him.
Well, early in my career, when I first was elected as a commissioner, there was a restaurant called the Acropolis. I don't know if you remember that.
Over here.
Right up.
And before then, it was Quincy's.
Yeah.
So-
Right up, exactly.
Right.
Right up, spaghetti pie, the whole thing. And we would fill that place up for a coffee chat. I mean, it was standing room only.
Really?
Back in the day, John Bradford was there, and it really was the way to go. People would come to hear what was being presented, and so now that's going back 12, 15 years. And if you fast forward with everybody busy, everybody moving here and there, and different patterns, we would get literally a dozen or less coming to the coffee chat. And what you find is if there is a project of interest or a road project, you have a meeting, you're going to fill the room because they want to come talk to you about that particular office, that particular project.
That's right. So I guess, and then one thing we didn't touch on, just to fill Cornelius out, the temperature of the board. Things that the town wants to see, things that the town does not want to see.
Yeah.
So if I raise my hand and say I'm bringing an apartment project, I'm probably going to get run out of town.
That's going to be a no, because we talked about some of the active projects that just haven't come out of the ground.
Right.
We're looking at maybe 1,000 apartments in the next few years if these projects take off and they're active.
So there's already 1,000 doors approved in the town of Cornelius.
Just opening Millworks. It was called the Junker Apartments, 195 apartments
Over
right
here.
there by Catawba and Chaton Road. But we have others up on the hill where OMB is planned, Old Mecklenburg
over on
Road,
the other side. Yep.
Greenway, another 300 apartments.
Okay.
Mills Market would bring 290 units. So there is in the wings and waiting, and that's where our citizens are saying, please do the infrastructure and roads before these get to a point where they're going to be occupied.
Amazing. So thank you for your transparency. Thank you for participating with us today. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's been a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.